Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Doss here. So a couple weeks ago, I made a video wondering what could be the licensed chapter that has been pushed back to the beginning of 2026. And so I want to let it simmer, see if anyone else had some ideas. But in the comments, I had some pretty good options listed. And so I wanted to go through them and give my opinions on which ones I think are more likely to be it and which ones I think just aren't it at all. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So one of the first comments that I got was stating that the licensed chapter that they think it is that got pushed back is either Predator or Danganronpa. Now, in my last video regarding this, I talked about Predator and how I think it's probably the most likely for it, simply because this chapter, this licensed chapter, is a 2 survivor, 1 killer chapter. And so you kind of have to think like, well, what could that be? Like, what do you think could fit that? And Predator, I can definitely see being a bit more relaxed and being more willing to have their chapter be delayed a couple months. I think Disney is a brand that doesn't super care all that much. One of the reasons why I thought it would be the November chapter is simply because there is a Predator movie coming out around the same time. So that's my reasoning as to why I think it would have been Predator, and I definitely think that it's got a bit of a chance. As for Danganronpa, I definitely don't think it's Danganronpa. I don't think Danganronpa has the license power to really be a chapter. I think if anything, Danganronpa would be a cosmetic collection, not a full-on chapter. I don't think that IP has enough of a fan base and enough staying power to warrant it being a full-on chapter. I know there's been a lot of talk about Danganronpa recently. I know there's been a lot of rumors of it coming to Dead by Daylight. I don't know where this started. I don't know when this started, but I really do not think that the November license is Danganronpa. I don't think it's something that, makes sense to have it as its own chapter. As its own cosmetic set, absolutely. It can join the likes of Nyata the Living Cat. It could join the likes of Attack on Titan, stuff like that. But I don't think it's good enough to be its own chapter. But moving on from that, I had someone called Bean Prophet comment a few times with what he thinks the November license could be. And he does have some pretty good ideas for it. He started off by saying that Silent Hill F is supposed to release at the end of this month, which is now since released since the filming of this video, and that they find it plausible that Silent Hill chapter was supposed to be released and then delayed. It would make complete sense for the Konami 2v8 event, possibly Japanese Silent Hill F themed chapter with the schoolgirl survivor, whatever killer would be in the game. Possible they had the chapter planned for early November at the release of Silent Hill F and it got postponed. Now, this could be a possibility. I'm currently playing through Silent Hill F. I'm playing it with my buddy, so I haven't finished it. I will be playing it shortly, well, not shortly, but sometime after this recording. So I don't know if there's like a significant, like, oh, this is the main antagonist of this game. Personally, I don't think that it's a Silent Hill chapter. I think that it would make the most sense to have it be a cosmetic collection, at least at this point in time. However, there was a map survey released very recently, and on that survey there was a question that's asked, which of these maps would you want, or which of these realms would you want more maps added to? One of the options was the Silent Hill realm, the Midwich map. So who knows, maybe in the future we'll get a part 2 to Silent Hill, but I think I stated in my last video, I don't think Silent Hill has enough iconic creatures to make a whole other chapter on. So as much as I'm enjoying Silent Hill F, and as much as I think most people are enjoying Silent Hill F, I don't think it's something that could warrant its own chapter. But that's not all that he said. He goes on to say, Art the Clown is a high possibility. There are several survivors to pick from, especially from Terrifier 3. Creators have been wanting to work with Behavior, and Art has shown up in Behavior series before. I was also thinking about Bendy because the creator has teased at working with behavior, but I have no idea what survivors could come from it. Personally, I think Netflix is too picky of a license to be okay with a delay, especially with their rocky past with behavior moving the Stranger Things license previously. So this one I think is probably the most interesting comment that he put, simply because Art the Clown is a pretty good shout. However, there is some rumors that talks with Art the Clown and Dead by Daylight have fallen through. And the reason behind that, the reason why that's like a rumor, is because some time ago, the people working on the Terrifier series had stated that they have multiple video game collaborations in the works. And then earlier in the year, the same people had stated that one of the collaborations they had fallen through. And so we've seen Art the Clown get his own video game. We've seen him do his collaborations. I believe he's with Call of Duty. So I definitely think that talks with Terrifier and Dead by Daylight may have fallen through. I think there might have been some issues with trying to design a power for Art. And I say this because Matthew Cote has stated previously that there have been licensed chapters that have just fallen through simply because of multiple factors, whether it's because relationships broke down between the license and behavior, or maybe just they say it also, like, sometimes it's just because they just can't design a workable power for whoever the killer would be for said license. And it makes sense if you're making a chapter and you can't really figure out like how to make the chapter work in Dead by Daylight to be playable, you kind of have to get rid of it. And for Art, I don't know, like I can't think of what his power could be. Art the Clown's kind of just like a normal clown. Like, would he just be like an M1 killer? Like every M1 killer has a secondary power. We don't have a killer that's just you press M1 and that's it. That's all they do. I know some people have been arguing against Terrifier just because they think like, oh, Terrifier is so new gen, it's so overrated, stuff like that. I don't think that's a valid argument against the Terrifier series. As for the several survivors thing, I haven't seen Terrifier 3, so I can't really speak to it. In fact, I don't think I've seen the second Terrifier. I think I've only seen the first one, so I can't really speak to what could be a good survivor for it. But in all honesty, I think Terrifier is a better chapter to be a solo killer. But along with that, obviously, Bean Prophet had mentioned Bendy the Ink Machine, and they had said like, oh, I'm not sure what survivor what survivors you can pull from it. So we could go with the main protagonist from the original Bendy game, the one that came out in like parts back in the day. But there's also the Dark Revival game that exists, and there is a full-on other playable character for that, and we have a full design for that character as well. I don't think it'd be Benny in the Ink Machine. I know Meatly has kind of like been hinting at possible Dead by Daylight crossing over there, but I would have to take the Meatly stuff with a grain of salt. I definitely don't think whatever the Meatly's saying has much weight to it. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Bendy and Ink Machine in Dead by Daylight. I love the Bendy franchise. I for one Halloween I was Sammy Lawrence. I made my own costume and everything. I just do not think that that it would be Bendy and Ink Machine. I think once again, I think Bendy and Ink Machine would be a good chapter to be just a solo killer. I don't think the license, at least at this point, has a notable enough survivor to go with it. I think the only like real like notable thing you could have for Bendy Machine is have the Ink Demon. Unless you make the survivors be Alice Angel and Boris, like we have like the first ever like super stylized, super cartoony survivors. And I do agree that Netflix, I feel like, is too picky of a license to really super justify delay. But the thing is, Netflix loves their money, so I think they might be okay with it at this point. But Bean Prophet does have a final comment, and he says that They think it could be another Resident Evil chapter. RE wants attention for RE9. It has many options for survivors and killers. Um, he goes on to state that they know that people have been harassing behavior for Luis and Ethan for like 3 years now, and as an RE fan, they wouldn't be disappointed personally, and they think it's a high possibility. No idea though. So I mentioned this in my last video, and I think it's still a bit too early to have another Resident Evil chapter. I think maybe some point next year or in 2027 we can get another Resident Evil Part 3. I think it'd be weird for them to make a chapter specifically for like promotion of Resident Evil 9 without Resident Evil 9 even being a thing. But they are right. There's plenty of characters to choose from Resident Evil. They could definitely do a killer from Resident Evil 7 or 8. And there's plenty of characters to choose from for survivors. We have characters from the first game that still aren't in the franchise. We have characters from RE4 that aren't in the franchise. We have characters from RE6 that aren't in the franchise. In fact, besides Leon's cosmetic, we don't have any RE6 representation, because Ada doesn't have a skin from RE6, and there's no character that Leon or Jill or Ada or Rebecca change into with Legendary that are from RE6. And then obviously we have Ethan that we can get from RE7 and 8, and we have Ethan's daughter that we can get from the RE8 DLC. But again, I think it's a bit too early. Like it's been a bit of time since we got a Resident Evil chapter release. Like Project W's released was when was that? That was 2022. So it's been 3 years. I definitely think it would be like around 4 or 5 years gap for us to get another Resident Evil chapter. Like there's nothing saying that we can't get a part 3 to stuff. And Resident Evil is definitely a much more rich franchise that you can pull from that works with Dead by Daylight. But again, I don't think it would be the November license. I think it'd be weird to have a new Resident Evil chapter come out a couple months before a new Resident Evil game. Like the new release works well with the release time for Resident Evil 9, but I just don't think that that's what it's going to be. But it's a very good shout and very good option. The last comment I got was something I don't think it is, but it is a possibility. They said, my guess is Until Dawn, the Wendigo is the killer. Sam and Mike as survivors, and the reason they're okay with the pushback is legendary Fang skin, which will be an Emily skin. A long shot, I know. So they're mentioning that the fact that in the files for Dead by Daylight, there is a tease to a legendary skin for Fang. So for those of you who aren't aware, legendary skins are skins that typically change the character to be someone else. So for example, Cheryl Mason being changed into Lisa Garland. That's a legendary skin. And in the files, there is a skin for Fang that's going to change Fang to be a different character entirely. Now, we don't know what this is. There's a bunch of speculation. There's a bunch of, do we think it's going to be this? Do we think it's going to be this? I originally thought maybe legendary skin was going to be Fang. Fang was going to be for the Nyata the Living Cat. I thought it was going to change Fang to be the character that Yui skin is based off of. Obviously, the collection is now out, so I know that that's not correct. Some people have been saying that, oh, it's going to be 2B. I don't know. I don't know about that. 2B is kind of a weird shout. I mean, we've had some weird collaborations of Dead by Daylight before. And I guess you could make the argument with the Nier games that it's like in the same vein as like The Witcher and Tomb Raider for like, oh, they come across their own horrors. There's I don't know, there's a lot of weirdness with it. My only thing is Until Dawn is kind of a weird license because Wendigo isn't really that great of like a term. There's been a lot of pushback for it. Let me see if I can find that information real quick. Okay, so the information that I was referring to Until Dawn's portrayal of the Wendigo has received pushback, primarily related to its appropriation and misrepresentation of a sacred indigenous legend. Critics and indigenous voices have argued that the game stripped the myth of its cultural significance and created a monster that serves as a sensationalized horror antagonist rather than a meaningful cultural figure. So that's been something that has been kind of like a little controversial with Until Dawn, how the Wendigo is a very like cultural thing. And so unless behavior completely renames the Wendigo to be something else, which they could, they have a lot of code names for a lot of the killers, like Michael Myers is the Shape, Springtrap's the Animatronic, etc., etc. We could name it something else, but Wendigo in Until Dawn is not a Wendigo. It's something that is just a more generalized, generic creature. And so this has been something that's been kind of a warm topic with Until Dawn. It's not something that's like super hot with it, but it's something that is definitely been there, and something that a good portion of fans of Until Dawn, or a good portion of people who are in that cultural area, aren't really agreeable with. Like, they don't like the portrayal of the Wendigo in Until Dawn. They feel like it's a misrepresentation of what a Wendigo is, and kind of like an appropriation of their own culture. Now, does that mean that it will never come to Dead by Daylight? Absolutely not. But personally, I think Until Dawn would work better as a survivor-only chapter or as a cosmetic collection. Like, yes, the Wendigo plays a big part in Until Dawn, but I don't think it's what makes Until Dawn as iconic as it is. I think what makes Until Dawn the most iconic that it can be is its characters. Like the characters that you choose that live or die and stuff like that. And I fully understand the Wendigo in Until Dawn is something that plays a very significant role in the story and in character developments. However, I don't see it being the potential license for November that got moved. That's everything that was commented on my video, and by the way, thank y'all for commenting, giving options. There were definitely some in there that I definitely didn't really consider. Terrifier was something that I had in the back of my mind, but I was like, I don't know. Until Dawn was not something I really considered, but I still think my two thoughts are what I think they are the most. I think it's either Stranger Things or it's either The Predator. That's what I would have to say. Regarding everything else, I don't think there's much more to like go off of. I don't know. With the whole 2v8 thing that's coming in November, and like the leaks that it could be a Konami one, like there is some merit to being like, oh, it's a Silent Hill F chapter that got pushed back, but I don't really think so. I still think the most probable outcome is Stranger Things or Predator, but we'll have to wait and see. We will probably start getting teasers for it in December, probably around Christmas, I'm gonna be honest with you. But I don't know, we don't have that much information anymore. Obviously, if I see anything regarding it, I will go ahead and let y'all know, but until then, we'll just have to keep guessing. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy your weekend in DVD. I'm not sure if there's going to be a video that I'm going to make next week. For anyone who's reached it this far into the video, next week is my birthday. It's going to be Thursday, so I actually have no idea if I'm going to be making a video. I might stream in the morning for my birthday because it is going to be my birthday. So I'll have to see. I might see if Polly would be down to do a gaming session together for my birthday. But we'll have to see. But I don't know if I'm going to have a video for next week, simply because, again, it's going to be my birthday, and I'm going to be super goddamn busy for my birthday weekend. On Thursday, I'm going to be doing stuff with friends online. On Friday, I'm going to be going to Disneyland with family. On Saturday, I'm going to be going to Halloween Horror Nights, and Sunday, I'm probably going to be resting. So I have to wait and see. I'll probably make an announcement on my community posts if I'm making a video or not, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, if you guys are new around here, I try to make Dead by Daylight content every week. I will make updates for any new stuff coming out that's kind of like something that needs to be addressed and people to know. If anything, I make posts on my community posts of like small things like Dead by Daylight, Blood Point codes, stuff like that. I do actually have a TikTok now. If you guys want to check that out, my TikTok is the DOS DBD. I've been debating if I want to make a TikTok for Dead by Daylight for a while. So if you guys use TikTok more primarily short form content, you guys can go ahead and follow me there. But as always, I will be making content here on YouTube. So if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, hit the like because it really helps, and hit the bell so you get notified whenever a new post goes live. And again, I do have channel memberships if you want to support me just a little bit extra. I do have some different tiers depending if you want to do a bit more and stuff like that, but I would greatly appreciate it. It helped me a lot. But yeah, besides that, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and as always, have a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Goodbye, everyone.